Yes.
Thank you, Chair. Minister, before we broke for lunch, you had highlighted the issue about whether an IMC is listed in the, I think originally you said Gazette, but you then gave the proper name. And I intend to quickly cover that. I understand the document is called Official Guide to South Africa, and then it's produced on an annual basis. And in that document, then amongst others, IMCs would be listed. And you raise this to point out that in the 24-25, it was not listed. And I don't know if you took it so far as to then suggest that it had ceased to exist. Was that the intention?
Yes.
Are you aware, as we know, the PKTT IMC, the president constituted in 2018. That's beyond debate.
Yes.
Correct? And you are aware that in the 1819 official guide, this document I reference, that this particular IMC was not listed.
Correct.
And it continued to do its job and report to the president in the normal course.
Correct.
And in 2019, 2020, it was not listed yet again.
Correct.
And it continued to function and report to the president.
Correct.
And so there's similarly in 2021, 2020, 2021, and in 2021, 2022. It was not part of that listing that you drew our attention to.
Correct.
Nonetheless, it continued to exist. It engaged in KZN on political killings, and it duly reported to the president.
Correct.
And based on those reports that the president received, he in turn reported to the nation as to what is happening regarding political killings in KwaZulu-Natal.
Correct.
The only years it appeared in that document were 2022, 2023,
Correct.
and 2023, 2024.
Correct.
I don't know if we have one for 24, 25. The point I seek to make to you is whether or not an IMC exists, that's on the one part, or continues to exist, cannot be determined by whether or not it's listed in that document. Would you accept that proposition?
I would qualify that whether it exists, it is listed or not listed. You would, as I said, I got a letter appointing me to as co-chair of the JCPS. So you do get that kind of conversation, which I didn't get on this. It was on those bases, an additional thing to qualify what you're saying.
Also, it's no longer whether or not it appears on that list. That's not the determining factor now.
No, I'm saying over and above what you are saying, there is something that indicates that where you are and so on, where you're not.
Okay, in the interest of time, perhaps I'll just note that your response is noted, and I'll move on. Lastly, you relied on the second work study, and this is the 2024 work study, and that's your SM5. But file 2 of 2 exhibits, SM5.
I've just been told that, oh, sorry.
Who took my files? SM5, it should start at page 181. Commissioners, I'm at file 2 of 2 of the exhibits, and I just referred the minister to SM5, which is an annexure to his statement. And SM5, Minister, you'll see, is titled Evaluation of the Implementation of Approved Work Study Investigations for the Establishment and Review of Resources for Specialized Investigation Capacities Detective Services. Do you see?
Correct.
Okay. Now, I want to draw your attention to page 201. And I think yesterday morning, or was it at your previous appearance on Tuesday? I think it was Tuesday. Commissioner Kumalo drew your attention to this document and specifically to the recommendations that started from page 200. You see that? They started
Correct.
200.
Correct.
And in particular to clause or paragraph 8.10 at page 201. And it reads, current task teams must be subjected to an impact analysis by organizational development and strategic management in the province to ensure the feasibility of the existing teams. My question is, when was that exercise undertaken in respect of the PKTT?
Well, I wouldn't know before I arrived.
Okay.
It could be, it could have been done. I didn't check.
Can I pose my question differently?
Yes.
Did you satisfy yourself that that exercise had been undertaken in respect of the PKTT before you directed that it be disestablished?
No, I didn't. But I did say I relied on reports that were presented to us, among which was the document that was signed by all officers and brought or submitted to the Office of the National Commissioner, which he didn't sign up until this year. He only signed this year.
Which document is that, Apologies, Minister? Is it
on
on record as far as you're aware? Have you tendered it as part of your annexures? I think Commissioner Kumalo is about to come to assistance. Thank you.
Okay. But it's a document on specialized, it's Marai report.
This is the same document we are dealing with.
Yes.
So the signatures you are looking for are on pages 211, 210, 212, 207,
Oh, yes.
and 205, but it's the same document, and 204.
204.
So the signature page of the report is on page 202. What then follows are the comments and recommendations.
Yes. Yes, this one is the latest 2025.
Yes, and
The 2024 that I'm talking about that I looked at was the one that was signed in 2024.
yes,
Yes.
and that is your SM5, is that not so? And that is what Commissioner Kumalo referred to, and is the same document I was reading from. Your SM5, just to orientate ourselves, starts at page 181 and runs up to the document itself up to 212, and then it's got another document attached to it headed supplementary input financial implications, starting at 213. The signatures, I think that you were referring to, or I understood you to be, unless I misunderstood, start from page 202 with the signature of Colonel Murray on the 6th of March 2024 at page 202.
Yes, if
And
it's that
it
one.
goes to page 211, no, 212, with the
Yes.
last one being General Masemola, who appends his signature on the 5th of June
Yes,
2020.
that's the document.
Oh, I think I see your issue. You recall I directed you to page 202.
Yes,
The first signature is that of Colonel Murray, and that is a 2024 signature.
correct.
And everybody else thereafter also appends their signature in 2024 up
Correct.
until page 210.
Correct.
And with General Sibia signing on the 16th of September 2024.
Correct.
Okay. Now, at 211, General Dimpani signs, but on the 3rd of March 2025.
Correct.
And overleaf at 212, General Masemola signs on the 5th of June 2025.
Correct.
Okay. So you are, with reference to what I read out, I had asked whether the recommendation that the current testings be subjected to an impact analysis to ensure feasibility as contained here.
Yes.
What is your response, that it was not a requirement at the time, or?
Though I understood myself to be responding to your question by saying, this is the document that I relied on, if I could use that word.
Yes.
And to say that all these signatures would be indicating approval of the assessment by Marai.
Yes.
Yes.
And would they indicate approval of the recommendations set out therein?
I take it that everything that is said in the report.
Okay, I think where Commissioner Kumar was trying to assist us was where you referenced a document in 2025, but in fact there isn't one. It's just that General Masemola signed in 25. It's the same document.
There isn't one.
There isn't another document.
Oh, yes,
signed-
it is this
It
that
is
I was
this
saying.
one.
It was in the National Commissioner's Office for a year.
And in fact, at your paragraph 168, you do invoke this report when you advance your second reason for disbandment.
Yes.
You base it on this report.
Yes.
Hence, I go to the recommendations and say, they stipulate that there's an exercise that must be undertaken to ensure the feasibility or to determine the feasibility. And what I was checking with you was, did it take place? And I think your response, if I'm not misquoting you, was you're not aware it could very well have happened already by the time you assumed office. My second question was then, did you satisfy yourself that it indeed had been undertaken? Because this becomes a central document to support your reason number 2. Did you satisfy yourself?
No, not to that extent, because this is work that gets done under the National Commissioner, processing that and doing so. You wouldn't find Minister going to Western Cape to check whether the component on such and such is at the level. You get it at high level. And this is what I got at high level, that there has been an assessment and it was signed off, and meaning that they accepted, all those who signed, accepted whatever was recommended, including things that needed to be done shortly thereafter or at whatever other point. So with this, you say these people, when they signed, they were indicating readiness, and you have no reason to doubt because you don't have any other evidence that makes you doubt the officials.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you, Minister. I note your response. I would like us to move to the other aspect, which is central to your letter of disbandment. And I think you had very briefly touched on it in your engagement this morning with Commissioner Baloyi. And this, I think you termed them human rights abuses, the
Yes.
reports that you had received
Yes.
of human rights, and you deal with that from page 26.
Yes, correct.
At paragraph 73, you list a number of complaints and the persons that complained, and you summarize basically the essence of the complaint. And these are some of the complaints that informed you that the best course to take was to disband.
Correct.
Now, I look at, and I think yesterday you did indicate that they are more HR in nature. Did I understand you correctly?
I said HR and
Yes.
Other practices that are not, is something that I qualified,
Okay.
further qualification.
I accept that. Thank you. But I see all of these persons listed here in 73 are police officers.
Yes, on the list.
Now, insofar as HR matters are concerned, I would expect SAPS to have a grievance procedure or process
Yes.
with all its appeal stages.
Yes.
And at no stage would the minister be involved. It's internal within the SAPS organization. Would I be correct in my assessment?
I do indicate, and I did indicate yesterday, in case by case, for instance, with regard to number one, that it went beyond National Commissioner directly to me in terms of the grievance, and I referred it back. In fact, we had a discussion with National Commissioner on that, and we ended up allocating it to Deputy Minister Matale, who dealt with it, and until it was finalized, as is indicated there. So there are those instances where things like grievances or complaints would involve us, I must say that. Well, not by way of escalating a complaint or a grievance, I would say so. So this is one of them, and the others that follow.
My concern is this, Minister. I think it's only appropriate I share it with you. SAPS is a very large organization.
Yes.
I think the workforce is well over 20,000. It's a significant organization, and one would expect in an organization like that there'll be systems and processes to deal with issues, some of which may in fact be reflected in regulations.
Yes,
And they dictate how members should engage with grievances or issues they require address.
yes,
And the only way the system will operate and function and serve the organization is if everybody adheres to a determined process.
yes,
And looking at what the ranks, Lieutenant General, Major General, Lieutenant General, above these people, there is still the National Commissioner who is the General. The part I struggle with is where the minister gets involved in a matter involving a major general within SAPS on HR matters, where that problem hasn't run its course through the organizational systems. How do you justify the minister's involvement?
those matters would have run, as I know, they did run their course. At the end of the course, as prescribed, as you describe it, then the person wants to make an appeal or is not satisfied with that course having run its course. And then it comes to us. We don't invite it. You don't say, anyone with a grievance, come to me. They come to you. You then go to the National Commissioner. You say, there is this thing that I'm coming across, as we did. What is this? And he explains and he says, we dealt with this matter, but this person was not satisfied. You call the person, you say, your matter was dealt with. You are still not satisfied. What's the problem? That's when I then asked Deputy Minister Matale to work with the National Commissioner and other officials to resolve the matter, and it was resolved. They just changed some of the issues, whatever they were. I can't remember in detail, but it had to do with somebody who was transferring from SAPS to the National Assembly with some conditions that they were not agreeing to. So it happened, and it does happen. And then each of those, we dealt with them in that way. And as you see, others, like I did indicate that others say, no, I make an appointment. Okay, what is it? No, I've got such and such a grievance, but my matter is in court. I don't want your assistance. I was just making you aware. So people come, you don't know what they want to come for. They tell you, you then channel whatever grievance. Not because you invite yourself or you just get into matters. It's because you want to satisfy the other person and you want to do a collective effort to the best of your ability, all of you. Because at the end of the day, if you don't do those things, but properly, of course, you are going to be confronted by a question in Parliament, and you are going to be confronted by a question, what did you do? Thank you.
Minister, the complaints in paragraph 73.1 to 73.8, are they against the PKTT?
No, I did indicate that from SAPS, others, human rights, and I did say others from PKTT in the paragraphs that are relevant. And I then categorized them into two. Possibly these ones are SAPS, SAPS intelligence, but there are others that are from PKTT. Maybe not in this list, but in the other list where the commission advised me to take counsel from council. Though in there are those who come from PKTT.
Thank you, Commissioner Bonwes.
Minister, under this heading, human rights concerns, you start in paragraph 71, and that's how I would like us to look at the context in which we must look at your paragraph 73, what it is you're seeking to convey or to do. In paragraph 71, you say your office received a series of complaints and reports from civil society actors. You haven't named them in your statement. You say with whistleblowers, maybe in their nature, they are not to be disclosed. You said SAPS members, Parliament, and members of the public. You say you received complaints. And then you say these reports, and this is the important part for me, you say these reports raised concerns about the human rights abuses by members of the NPKTT, governance failures, affecting the various temporary and ad hoc task teams, including but not limited to the NPKTT. So let's limit it to the PKTT because you've mentioned them specifically. So you say these complaints that you've received from those different categories of people, they implicated the PKTT. And remember that we are in this inquiry because of the decision to disband the PKTT, and we are looking at why that would have been done. Having given that summary of the people that came to you with reports and complaints about the PKTT, you then say in paragraph 72, the complaints from various complainants varied in content and emphasis, but they shared common themes: unmonitored task team operations, resulting in grave human rights abuses. Now, we know later on that you rely on Ms. De Haas's complaints because you have referred to her about human rights abuses. And in fact, I think yesterday when you testified, you said one of the things that have been reported to you is members of the PKTT wearing balaclavas when they go and do operations. That's part of your concerns about them. Then you say again, unclear reporting lines, allegations of overreach, duplication of functions, and significant strain on SAP's resources. And you have said what your concerns are about the financial implications of having PKTT. Now, from 73, you then set out, from 73, 74, and 77, you then discuss the complaints that you have. The first 73, it is, you say, for the benefit of the commission, the complaints are listed, and you give us a list of employees and what the issues in some cases were. They look typically, all of 73, they look typically like employee relations issues, HR issues.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
I have a question. I made a note for myself to ask you, are these PKTT issues?
No.
They are not. Okay. Then, so we can discount all of 73 that you've got. It has nothing to do with PKTT, and it could not have been part of your reasons for dissolving the PKTT.
Correct.
They were not. All right. But what you haven't explained to us is what are the issues relating to PKTT about unclear reporting lines? What are the allegations of overreach against the PKTT? You've spoken to us about duplication of functions, and I think there you refer to what the murder and robbery unit can do, which is being done by the PKTT, so maybe I do have an idea there. And then your strain of SAP's resources, you're talking about the financial implications, but the rest of it you haven't. So I have struggled in reading this, and so far you haven't explained to us why or how these factors you list here would have been, except for financial strain and duplication of functions, you haven't said to us how it is that these were factors that you would have validly taken into account in the decision to disband the PKTT.
There is a Mr. I'm trying to find in my own submission. There is a last sentence there that say other people.
Apologies, I might be able to assist you. What are you looking for in your statement?
73.8, I think it is, Minister, on page 27. I think that's what you're looking for.
Page 27.
Yeah, paragraph 73.8 of your statement, the very paragraph that we've been looking at, and then sub-para 73.8. I think that's what you're looking for.
Yes. There is then 73.8.
Yes.
73.8 says, and other names to be submitted to the commissioners
Yes,
for confidentiality.
okay. Now,
Those
Yes.
have something to do with PKTT, but I couldn't write here for
Yes.
confidentiality.
I accept and I know how we resolved it yesterday, your list,
Yes.
but you haven't told us what is it about those names. First, what is it about those names rather, that contributed, if they do, to your decision to disband the PKTT? You haven't said it. You handed up the list yesterday, and then it was handed back to you to say your counsel maybe you should speak to your counsel to advise you how to handle that list. But as we sit now with your statement and you're sitting there, we don't, at least let me speak in the singular. I don't know what those 8 names have to do with your decision to disband the PKTT, if they do at all. That's one. 2, because I don't know what the issues are about the 8, I'm not in a position to say whether you validly or correctly took them into account in your decision to disband the PKTT, if that's in fact what happened.
It is covered, they are covered, that category, in paragraph 71 in the main, where we say these reports raise concerns about human rights abuses by members of the NPKTT, governance failures, and so on. They are covered there in that paragraph. I didn't write anything separate for them because this paragraph covers all the categories, including Ms. Becker and all of that in just one paragraph. But the details are not here.
So yeah, I guess I'm trying to see how 73.8 is of any use to us if we don't know what in fact it is about these individual complaints, those in 73.8.
Yes.
If the commission doesn't know what it is that they complain about to you and that you could have validly taken into account
Yes.
in your decision, until you tell us the nature, I think it doesn't help to say they fall under 70.1 or 70.2, 72 rather, 71 and 72, if we don't have details of it. And I want to remind you that you have just conceded, for example, to Ms. Sillo, and to me, you've accepted that 73 is trade relations matters, right? That have nothing to do with the minister ordinarily. And I have nothing right now, looking at your statement and having listened to you, there's nothing that tells us that those 8 people in that list, it's not exactly the same issues, then they must be irrelevant to your decision to disband the PKTT. We must look somewhere else for an explanation.
It is for that reason, commissioners, that I thought I would be able to appeal favorably to the commission to listen to those people. Then I submitted the names, 8 names, so that the commission can know and determine whether my assessment was actually correct as to be part of what would have influenced me to write the directive. Now, the commission advised me to revert to my lawyers for advice, which I accepted. Now, we haven't processed that so that I know what my lawyers are advising me to do, so that you can know as the commission what is it that is I couldn't write that, because if I wrote that would mean that I would be breaching confidentiality that these people contacted me and made reports based on confidentiality arising from their security. So that is the issue that I have. That's the explanation that I can give.
Maybe then lastly about that, can we then agree that until that list and the detail of the issues that they have raised with you and the dates when they raised it,
Yes.
until all of that is properly placed before the commission, we don't have any relevant evidence about complaints of SAPS members on which you relied to make the decision to disband the PKTT. I'm not sure if I'm articulate enough that you understood what I'm saying.
You're articulate, I've understood. I will take advice. I will then test again whether the commission does accept that, and I'll proceed on those bases as advised.
All right, thank you, Minister. Thank you, Minister. Minister, if you are able to answer, the 8 that you have, the list
Yes.
that you have, when would those people have raised those issues? When did they raise those issues with you?
They exactly fall in the category of 71, where I say during the latter part or half of 2024. That is after we got appointed, shortly after.
So all of them is before your decision?
Yes.
Before the 29th of December?
Yes, they called, others went up to an extent of requesting private meetings or private confidential meetings, and I did hold such meetings with them.
Thank you. Thank you, Minister.
Minister, in your disbandment letter, do you mention these complaints and these human rights violations? Do you say in your disbandment letter, I've decided that the PKTT should be disestablished because I have received complaints, some of which include allegations of human rights abuses?
Now, in the letter, I didn't include details. I think on all 3 directives that I issued, except maybe in a very high level kind of thing. But when I wrote this, I did not particularly indicate any detail. It was just high level, and I was relying that
Even at a high level, surely you can say, I have serious concerns about human rights violations being perpetrated by the PKTT. I no longer think this group should exist because of that reason.
yes, I could, but I didn't, because if I could go further, when I received all of this, I think in January or just before the end of the year, somewhere there, I had a discussion with the Special Advisor Advocate Pikuli to say, look, there are matters here of a security nature, very sensitive. In order to deal with them, no, I said, I'm not in a position to go to the National Commissioner to report these matters or to any other official. They have been raised with me on a confidential basis based on security. I think that we may need to consider a ministerial inquiry. That's how I put it when we're discussing with Advocate Pikoli in confidence. We went up to the extent of coining some names of such people, there is the gravity, the extent of gravity of those complaints in that category of 8 people. But we got overtaken by events. We didn't get to that particular stage. But it was such that these are not matters that you can just call an official and say, sit here, repeat what you told me. They are not that simple. Um, you, in the first place, a person comes to you in confidence and then say to you, look, I'm afraid, I have fears for my life, but I trust you, I'm going to share with you 1, 2, 3. Then you start. At the end, you go back to what they would have said. You believe that, yes, I don't think it would have been advisable for you to do it, to do otherwise. You keep this thing.
Minister, I think you have answered.
Okay.
Me, because otherwise we will take the
Thank
whole
you.
day. We won't get to the end of what we want to get to.
Mtom.
Sorry, Mr.
Yes,
On
Commissioner.
this, can I just check this? Minister, those 8 people that come to you confidentially, they give you their complaints.
Yes.
What did you do with those complaints? And I'm not asking you to, I note that you say you spoke to Mr. Pikoli.
Yes.
Other than that, about these 8 and their allegations, those allegations in particular or complaints, what did you do about them?
As I say, well, I know of one case, possibly, of one of them who wrote to the National Commissioner as well. But I don't know whether, I didn't inquire whether National Commissioner responded or not responded. But what did I do?
Yes.
I discussed with Advocate Pikoli. We resolved that a possible option is an inquiry, because if these things are true, they are quite grave matters, not just of HR, but there are issues there of security, and there are alleged murders in them as well.
Okay. You said to Advocate Pikoli, if these matters are true, right, they are serious, that means you did not verify them. You thought about a ministerial investigation, but you did not verify them, the truthfulness of those allegations or complaints.
I didn't, beyond what they told me and beyond what they then subsequently deposed in their affidavits.
Now, you did not verify them, and yet you took those complaints into account as if they are fact in making the decision to disband the PKTT. I have a difficulty with that you didn't, you have this organization or this task team which has been endorsed by your predecessors, which has done work. You said in the morning to Ms. Sillo, you don't disagree where the National Commissioner says they have done beautiful work, great work. I think you read an excerpt on your statement. You said you don't disagree. You get complaints from 8 people. Maybe they're serious. We don't know. I'm prepared to accept you saying they are of grave seriousness, they're allegations. But you don't verify them, and yet you rely on them to make a decision to disband the team. I see a problem there about how you got to that decision, that this is a factor I'm going to take into account.
Commissioner, I had no reason, even without verification, to doubt that, but I accept that there would need to be a platform that verifies, but they were serious enough. They were serious enough, and I'm honest with the commission. Serious enough, detailed enough, with anecdotes to convince me that indeed they are serious and they need to be processed in a particular way.
I'm prepared to accept on your word that it is serious allegations that were made. I'm prepared to accept that. What I'm unable to accept or to understand is that even before you verify the truthfulness of those very serious allegations, and that in fact they implicate the task team as a team, not individuals in the team, even before you've done that verification for yourself, you take them into account towards your decision to dissolve the team. I do have a difficulty with that.
Well, I would accept that as commissioner, you may have a difficulty, but from where I sit, listening to these people showing me anecdotes and taking me through that and making references to incidents in some cases that they were able to verify, like whatever case number where they apply. I took, they caused me to really feel that it would be irresponsible of me not to take them serious. And I do admit here that they did influence me, rightly or wrongly, as the commissioner says, to accept them, that I would be able to take that risk. In some of my statements to the lawyers, I did write that, and that it was a risky exercise. There are, I mean, just outside the actual instances where you receive a verbal report from somebody, but it is strong enough for you to proceed in a particular way. And it was on those bases that I took them seriously, their numbers, their names, not necessarily writing everything in terms of notes, and searched for a particular platform. I can simply say, or go on to say, I couldn't engage National Commissioner on these matters for a reason. That it was, I considered it quite beyond that in terms of how it would affect him and people under him to do that. So I preferred not to go on at all with them. When I mean, I just wanted to make sure that they are with me. I don't take any chance about them, because National Commissioner is a human being. He could find himself relating it to another official who might have been affected by what they are saying, at least in terms of allegations. And then the whole thing gets contaminated in that particular way.
All right, I have a difficulty, a separate difficulty with that last part, but let me ask out of your paragraph 71, the civil society actors that you refer to as your sources of complaints, is that a reference to Miss Mary DeHaas?
Mary DeHaas.
Okay, that's the civil society actors you refer to. We've established this SAPS members, and then Parliament. You said from Parliament.
Yes.
What is that? What are you referring to?
Well, just to exhaust that list, Mashale and Ms. Becker, who publicized a lot of,
Yes.
made a lot of allegations, then continue to what you are looking for, to say, let me check.
You don't discuss any members of
Oh,
Parliament
yes.
or anything coming out of Parliament.
There is a member of parliament who wrote to us in the ministry, and his matter was then processed in a particular way. I was referring to that, a member of parliament.
Adams, I think we've heard the name Adams here.
Yes.
Is that where you say parliament, you actually mean
National
a
Assembly.
member of
A
parliament,
member of parliament.
not parliament itself?
No, no,
Because
no.
the way you've said it here, you say, I received a series of complaints from parliament.
It's a typo. It
So it
meant
should have been a member of parliament.
Yes.
And that would
Accept.
be Mr. Adams.
Accepted.
Okay, so you took that into account as well,
Accepted.
what he got to say.
Yes.
Okay, and then members of the public, you've mentioned Ms. Mashale and I think Ms.
Ms.
Becker.
Becker.
That's what you're referring to.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Minister. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Commissioner Baloyi. Having then addressed the complaints from people you listed, paragraph 73, all of whom are members of the service, let's now turn to what I think you term as members of civil society. I'm looking in particular from paragraph 74, after your listing of the various police members. You start with Ms. Mary De Haas, and then at paragraph 74, overleaf from paragraph 77. You then deal with Ms. Patricia Mashale.
Correct.
Without engaging necessarily with the content of Ms. Mashale's complaint, because I see that you rely on what she published on Facebook, but basically on Facebook. I think it's Ms. De Haas who also relies on press releases. Did you have opportunity, just on that, to engage with Ms. Mashale about the contents of her Facebook postings on these issues?
Both Ms. De Haas, in fact, all three of them, Ms. De Haas, Mashale, Becker, I didn't meet any one of them. I took what I was reading. In some cases, like in the case of De Haas, she wrote to me.
Apologies, Minister, can we confine ourselves to the Haas now? I want to split them. I'm going to first deal with Ms. Mashale, and thereafter
Yeah.
we'll go to the Haas. So
Yes, I picked
currently
up.
my question relates to whether you, because you have quoted her postings on Facebook.
Yes.
And I want to know if you engaged with her on.
No.
Did you otherwise test the veracity of the claims she makes in those Facebook postings?
Not necessarily, except at one point when she made claims about people somewhere in Mpumalanga, there being camps and so on. When we went to investigate, indeed we found the camps. But we didn't tell her that we were going there to verify or to do whatever. I'm just saying that we did receive that allegation about existence of camps in Mpumalanga, and subsequent to that, SAPS made and other security units found that there were in fact camps there.
So it is on the basis of that, then you decided that the claims she makes in Facebook about SAPS no longer require verification, and you accept them at face value. Is that your position?
What we are using the word accept. What I did was to read.
Yes.
And having read, because I didn't speak to her, to say, well, in fact, I did speak to the National Commission about Mashal. And he did confirm that, yes, they are also, or he is also receiving a number of whatever she writes, sometimes directly to him, or he would find just allegations in one way or the other. So I got to know that what I may be receiving, he has also been receiving. And we had a description of her in a light conversation. So then that's how they're here.
Yes, and I have no difficulty in accepting that General Masemola would potentially have received the same messages. They are not directed to him, they were published by Ms. Mashali on Facebook. I have no difficulty in accepting that he would, one way or the other, have received them, whether directly or indirectly. I am not aware of General Masemola having taken drastic steps insofar as the organization of SAPS is concerned, in respect, as on the basis of those Facebook allegations. But you have, because you, Minister, you cite those Facebook claims that she makes, which you don't verify, which you state you had a conversation with General Masemola about, only to establish that they have come to General Masemola's attention. You do not indicate that you direct, if you may, if you can, or you could, or request General Masemola to investigate those claims. You do none of that. So the truthfulness or otherwise of those claims remain unknown. But they are sufficiently weighty for you to base a decision to disestablish the PKTT in December 2024. Is that a fair summation?
That would be a summation, but I think you are using quite lighter words than whatever is written, whether Facebook or elsewhere, would affect the image of SAPS, warranting your attention to do something about them. And therefore, you rely on what you see to say to what extent and so on. And in this particular case, I had a conversation with General Masimla and he confirmed that there is something like this. I am indicating here what has come to our environment, which came back as I wrote the letter that, at some point I came across something like this and something like that, and then I then indicated that. Not measuring my reliability or whatever extent of influence in me writing the directive.
I understand your answer to mean that the claims advanced by Ms. Mashali in large part affect the image of SAPS. Did I understand you correctly?
Yes.
Okay. And you consider that serious enough and therefore you accepted those allegations and acted in the manner you subsequently did?
Yes.
Okay. Now, at paragraph 77 of your statement, page 28, you state at the last line of that paragraph, I learned that Ms. Mashali is a former police officer. Based on the time you have spent with the police service, I hope you can help me here. I understand that the people who work within SAPS are either employed in terms of the SAPS Act, and those would be the police officers, and anyone else who is not is employed in terms of the Public Service Act. And there's a distinction between the two bodies of people that work for SAPS. Is that a correct understanding?
Correct.
Okay. Now I see here you call Ms. Mashale a former police officer. I would like to refer you to exhibit bundle 2 of 2, an extra CJC 55.12. And 55.12 starts at page 351. And if you have located that annexure, please turn to page 364.
I have it.
Perhaps you might be familiar with that document. It is titled SAP 96. And I think when we were considering, now, I don't remember its general, the implementation letter, you recall, where the head of HR was talking about the necessity to complete documents and updating the PERSAL system. You recall that conversation we had? I understood that there to have been a reference to SAP 96. If you don't recall, I'll understand. But
Yeah, I won't be sure. Yeah.
then 364 is SAP 96, as we understand it. Every single employee within SAPS has got this document, and it must be maintained at all times at SAPS. It records every detail about the employee. And one of the most important details is, I'm going to count lines to try and direct you. Line 10 and the first part of this document. The extreme left reads Appointment Act, and against that it reads PSA 1994. Do you see that?
Yes.
And that is the Public Service Act.
Yes.
The next line reads job description, and against that it states admin clerk. Do you
Yes,
see that?
I see that.
And we are informed that based on those two only from her SAP 96, she cannot be classified as a police officer. How did you determine that she was one, or she was ever one?
Well, I would say that that was merely colloquial.
Apologies, I missed that. You say that was
I
a
don't know
mere?
what was- I would say that that was the use of the word in a colloquial sense.
Oh, okay, I get you. I accept that, thank you. Now turning, yes.
Which one is the use of the word colloquial? That she's a police officer or that she's an admin clerk? Minister? You say the use of the word was colloquial. My question is, which use? Because you've referred to her as a police officer and the form refers to her as an admin officer. Admin clerk.
Yes.
So there are two different descriptions of her and you say one of them is colloquial. So I'm asking which one is colloquial of the two?
I'm saying this word, police officer,
Okay.
was used in that context.
Okay, all right, I understand. Thank you.
Are you aware of, you do know that Ms. Mashale, yes you do, because you call her a former. So that implies that she's no longer with the SAPS.
Yes.
Are you aware of the circumstances under which her employment with the SAPS ceased?
Am I aware?
Yes, are you aware of the circumstances in which her?
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And
I'm
what
aware.
are those?
I'm aware.
Could you briefly summarize what those were to your understanding?
She was dismissed, as indicated there, from SAPS.
Okay, I would like to draw your attention to page 356 of the same file. It's still the same annexure. CJC 55.12.
Watch page?
356.
356. Yes.
Page 356 is a a letter dated the 11th of February 2022, signed by Brigadier District Commissioner Harip M.E. Makubo, and it is addressed to the Provincial Commissioner Free State, which, as I understand from SAP 96, that is where Ms. Mashali was based. Do you see that?
Yes.
This document informs, and others attached to it. It's not necessary to go through all of them, but I think this one at 356 sufficiently summarizes the issues. That an expeditious hearing had been convened against Ms. Mashali, to which she was invited for a hearing on the 26th of January 2022. I'm reading first paragraph. And second paragraph reads, during the expeditious hearing, the employee and her representative decided to walk out without presenting their side of the story after being given an opportunity to do so. And the third, the hearing was therefore accordingly indefinitely postponed for 10 days as provided for in Regulation 9(7). However, since then, till to date, that's the date of the letter, the employee has not reconvened or made any contact with the delegated official to indicate her intention to revive the sitting of the hearing. And for concludes, it is hereby therefore officially recorded that the employee failed to reconvene the hearing, and by operation of law, she is dismissed from the service. Do you see that?
Yes.
Were you aware of those circumstances?
Yes.
Do you have any comment as to the propriety of her conduct in that regard?
Not only a comment, when I received a series of, or when I came across a series of things that she writes about the subs, I asked because she was writing more on crime intelligence at some point, and I asked the IGI just to do a check about her and all of that. That's how I got to know some of the things about her.
And now I wanted to find out, now that you've learned some things about her, when did you so learn them?
When did I?
When did you learn those, whatever it is
It was
about
during
her?
that period that is indicated after we got appointed.
Okay.
Yes.
And even then, that did not create a concern for you and demanded of you to subject her allegations in Facebook of the magnitude that they are to some serious interrogation. That was still not enough for you.
I would plead with commissioners that your voice be raised a little bit.
Oh, I apologize.
Yeah, I've lost use of this. I think there must be a problem of the battery or something.
No, I think we should stand down.
So I'm doing with my hearing
no.
aids.
No. No, Minister, we will stand down and we will seek to resolve the problem.
We'll come back as soon as we've been advised to.
Thank you, Chair. Is it better now? It's good. Okay, I'm happy. Thank you. You had indicated that after you were appointed, you had caused for lack of a better term, I'll call it investigations into this lady Mashale, and you received whatever reports you did. And if I understood you correctly, they were not particularly favorable. Now, this is before the disbandment. So my question was, which is where we broke, having received such reports about her from an investigation initiated by you, when you are then finished with the allegations she makes only on Facebook against an entity you are politically responsible for, why do you take her allegations at face value and not interrogate them? Or cause at least for the issues raised therein to be properly investigated before you act upon them?
What happened after I received the report? It was with advice, and I did exactly that I should avoid speaking to her, and I had not spoken to her when I received the advice, and I kept it that way. I've never spoken to her. What I do is when I see something that she would have written, I just read and leave it like that. I've never, so I'm not relying on this. I'm just indicating it as something in the environment, not necessarily to say, yes, why did you rely on this? That's why I said reliance is quite heavy loaded for what actually is represented here. Here, I'm just throwing things that came into, simply because the report also said, in some cases, yes, she would say something that is reliable, but in most of the cases, no. So I don't put any weight to the extent that it would have been taken to influence me into disband. And most of the time, she writes about crime intelligence more than NPKT2.
So you place these issues before the commission under a specific heading, human rights concerns emanating from the public. And under that heading, you include Ms. Mashali's Facebook claims. You state at your paragraph 71, these being reports from civil society actors, whistleblowers, SAPS members, parliament, you clarified the issue of parliament with Commissioner Baloyi, and members of the public. You say these raise concerns about human rights abuses by members of the NPKTT, governance failures affecting various temporary and ad hoc task teams, including but not limited to the NPKTT. They formed part of the broader pattern of structural issues with SAPS that required ministerial attention. So based on what I read, my understanding is Ms. Mashale's Facebook postings, notwithstanding what you subsequently learned of her, based on your investigations, they required and received your attention as the minister, the ministerial attention. Is that so?
You would recall that Commissioner Baloyi asked me some questions in relation to categories, and I said the names of people,
Yes, at paragraph 73.
the list,
Yes.
are people in SAPS, and we engaged with them openly and all of that. And she asked the question specific, are these people part of those who complained about PKTT? And I said, no. Now, those that complained about PKTT, who would be associated with that statement that you've just made, are those that are in the envelope. She's out of them. She has nothing to do with those.
Okay.
I was merely at a high level indicating what came into the environment, but there's no decision because all the decisions that we took in relation to complaints brought to us were from people who are indicated here.
Yes.
Clearly.
Yes.
And we did follow them.
So then we must accept that when you speak of human rights concerns emanating from the public, that doesn't extend to the claims made by Ms. Mashale in her Facebook postings, which postings you have shared with the commission. She doesn't fall in that category of those who advance concerns regarding human rights abuse.
She calls herself a whistleblower.
Okay. I'll put it differently. What value do you ask the commission to attach to Ms. Mashale's Facebook posts? Considering that you have confirmed that you did not test the veracity of the claims she advances. So what value are you asking the commission to place on that?
I'm not asking the commission to put or not to put any value of whatever weight. I'm merely saying this is one of the things that came into my environment during that particular period.
Yes.
But I had a qualification for it based on the advice that I got from IGI, who didn't say she is absolutely untrustworthy or whatever. He just advised that, well, most of the time, this is the case. Some of the things she says are true, some of them are not true, and all of that. And I avoided talking to her directly and so on. This is just environmental, not the commissioners, if there were to be a privilege of advisors you request, I would say that this is an environmental issue. And when I discussed with National Commissioner, we described it as an environmental issue.
And it can be environmental in the manner, I guess we all understand. It's a sub-environmental issue. Not, I shouldn't think trees and streams when you say environmental. Just, I don't want us to talk past one another.
Okay.
Except the challenges here, Minister, the caution you applied to her material following the IGI investigation, you overlooked in your statement to disclose to the commissioners to say, so that they know that they're being given this information, but there's a caution that don't rely on that because the author of those claims is, I won't say questionable, I don't know what the report was. But you didn't attach any caution, at least for the benefit of the commissioners. Why didn't you?
Correct.
Yeah.
That was oversight.
Okay.
My apology.
Then, as I said, in your statement, you start with Ms. Mary DeHaas. Sorry.
May I? Okay. Minister, still about Ms. Mashale. I am concerned that you now disavow your reliance on her as one of the factors or people you took into account in your decision to disband the PKTT. And here's why I have that concern. In paragraph 71, which we looked at, you list her. You said she's a member of the public. I don't have a difficulty with that. We made complaints about the NPKTT. But then when you go to 77, paragraph 77, the heading is Patricia Mashale. You say that on or about 18 September, I was appointed. My attention was brought to posts on social media by a whistleblower. I don't have a difficulty with you refer to her as a whistleblower, Ms. Mashale. And then here's what you say. You say, Ms. Mashale made serious allegations against General Masemola, Lieutenant General Kumalo, and the NPKTT. So you say she's made allegations about the NPKTT. You've given us a list of posts, of Facebook posts that were made for her. I have read them more than once. Nowhere do they refer to the PKTT, her posts. Not a single one of them. They refer to General Kumalo, they refer to other people, they refer to crime intelligence. Nowhere is there a reference of the PKTT. So it is not correct that you say she made allegations about the PKTT, and I think you do need to correct that.
Point taken,
Yes.
Commissioner.
So there were no allegations from her about the PKTT.
Correct.
Yes, so you couldn't have correctly or validly taken her posts into account in your decision to disband the PKTT.
Not at all.
Okay,
Not at all.
thank you. And you do confirm, just for completeness, you do confirm, we won't go into the posts. I know they're in a bundle here, and there were quite a number of them that I looked at. But just the summary of her posts from paragraph 78 of your statement up to 86. In fact, 86 is your conclusion. Up to 85, none of those annexures make a reference to the PKTT. You confirm that? So from What you've done is from
85,
yeah,
yes.
up to 85. You've got annexure. At 85, it's now SM13. None of those annexures make any reference whatsoever to the PKTT.
Yes, that's why, Commissioner, I said any complaint about PKTT comes from the envelope, not from the list, neither is it from
Ms. Mashal.
these other categories here,
Okay.
including Mr. Haas.
Okay. So when you say at 86.4, concerns that certain task team structures were susceptible, remember, maybe let me start at 86 at the top. The top of 86, it says, that sentence says, the disclosures made by Mashale, Ms. Mashale, expose the following structural issues, and then you list them. And then in 86.4, you say it exposes concerns that certain task team structures were susceptible to manipulation or abuse. Ms. Mashale doesn't speak of any task teams that are being abused or manipulated, but more specifically the NPKTT.
Correct.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Commissioner. Let's then turn to Ms. DeHaas's allegations that you cite under that heading. You deal with Ms. DeHaas from paragraph 74. And you state, at page 27 of your statement, I also noted complaints from Ms. Mary DeHaas, an academic and long-standing observer of policing oversight issues in KwaZulu-Natal. These complaints are attached here to and marked SM8. SM8 is your annexure, and it will be in file 2 of your statement, yes, file 2. SM8 starts at, have you
Yes,
located it?
I have it.
Thank-
I have it.
It starts at page 265, you see that.
Yes,
So let's then look at your SM8. On my reading, it is actually made up of multiple documents, and I would like that we won't deal with all of them, but I note from SM8 that at 274, Ms. DeHaas, on the 31st of October 2024, wrote a letter specifically to you, the Honorable Minister of Police, Mr. Mchunu, and this appears to have been dispatched per email. Are you at 274?
yes,
Just for the record, you confirm, well, I take it you confirm receiving this document because you are the one providing it to the commission.
yes.
Thank you. And this letter is quite a lengthy one, but I just want to highlight some aspects. And it starts under item 1. This letter and its 3 appendices is to request that, for reasons I set out fully below, you take urgent and appropriate action to deal with the abuses and gross wastage of personnel and financial resources by the irregularly constituted political task team. You see that?
Yes,
I continue. In this regard, I request you, 1.1, instruct the National Commissioner SAPS to immediately disband the irregularly constituted, unnecessary, and wasteful political killings task team and send its investigators back to the detective units established provincially and nationally in terms of the SAPS legislation. The National Commissioner must immediately stop the deployment of General Kumalo, who heads CIS, to this task team, which he did not have the qualifications and experience to command in the first place. Why was he allowed to occupy both positions, for neither of which he has qualifications at the same time? I'll pause there for a moment. Did you respond to Mr. Haas's letter?
Possibly we did by acknowledging correspondence as we normally do, but I didn't substantively respond.
Okay. And is it fair to assume that in that letter, one of the first things you raised with Mr. Haas is that she errs when she considers the political killings task team to be irregularly constituted, because you know differently. Did you bring that to her attention?
As I say, I didn't respond to her substantively.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Perhaps let's start here. Do you recall what issues you could potentially have raised in your response? You can't, off the top of your head.
I didn't respond substantively to her.
Okay, how did you respond then? I get it's not substantively. I'm trying to
Yes.
understand.
It would just be acknowledgement or of receipt of
Yes.
what she wrote, but not substantively.
Also, in your response to her, you didn't engage with the content of her letter?
No, not at all.
Why not?
Well, I felt that it was sufficient to acknowledge that I received the letter, but without necessarily substantive follow-up on the matters.
So then it has got to be that you took the content of her communication, this letter, seriously. It required no further engagement with Mr. Haas on, nor verification, because we know from your statement that those are as some of the PKTT issues and challenges that you had in mind when you decided to disband. So you took on board what Mr. Haas told you. Regarding the PKTT in this instance, she goes broader, of course, in that letter against various senior personnel within SAPS. But let's confine ourselves to PKTT. You accepted her allegations as she advances against PKTT, and they informed your decision to disband, amongst others.
No, not to that extent.
Okay, to which?
I just read what she was saying and we acknowledged the receipt, not to say that it would have played any role to whatever extent when I wrote the letter.
So this letter too does not reflect the human rights abuse concerns that you enumerate under that heading in your statement.
I indicate that in my statement, insofar as she indicated those things to
Yes.
to me as part of what I received, not to say it would have or it would have been the only factor that I saw this and then it influenced me. It is just something that I acknowledged, but it is, I must say that I am aware, other than from her, of what I indicate here, and part of it is in the allegations made by the 8 people. So it was merely to indicate, but I know that there are other people outside this. In fact, it could be more than 2 in the
Yes.
8 who had specific cases that could be interpreted as of human rights abuse.
I'm a little confused, Minister. Did you take this letter into account when you made your decision on 31st December 2024?
Not necessarily the letter, but I took what I had picked up in the process into consideration. I had that, but without necessarily attaching a weight that could be interpreted as having influenced you to write the allegation. There are the structural issues, there are budget issues and other issues that were more weighty than this. This I threw in as part of the environment.
So the similarity between the language used in this letter and your disbandment letter, purely coincidental.
Purely coincidental, I didn't memorize anything.
You didn't have it with you when you wrote your
No.
disbandment letter.
No. In fact, most of the letters, and I suppose this is one of the letters, the way we do it in the office, PAs would present a letter. There's a letter here, Minister. It comes from so and so and so and so. Summarize the content. The complaint is about 1, 2, 3. Write acknowledgement and file the letter. And I didn't have it at all.
Thank you, Commissioner. Stay, you say before your engagement with Commissioner Kumalo, your response to my question was that this was not the only factor, correct? The contents of this letter.
Yes.
Is it correct to say that it was one of the factors?
It would be correct to say it was one of the factors, in a sense that I'm putting it, because the factors, when you do something, you don't weight them the same.
Yes.
But even if they are all factors,
Okay.
yes.
Now, that is important to know because she raises a number of issues. So I'll just perhaps go through a few to see which played a role in this decision. But before I do so, I would like invite your comment to her paragraph 1.2. And that, remember, she said, in this regard, I request you to, we dealt with the first sub point at 1.1, now I'm at 1.2, still at page 274. And she says, prioritize the establishment of a judicial oversight body to investigate the dockets taken by the task team, including but not exclusively the 3 matters I provide details of in the annexure. Since there is a great deal of other information about grossly irregular conduct of this task team, the investigative mandate of such a body must be wider than these 3 cases. Then she says, there is a great deal more information about the suspicious and criminal actions of this task team. I don't have to go beyond that. My first question to you is, did you understand what judicial oversight body Mr. Haas was calling for?
Not to the extent that I engaged her on it,
Yeah.
just on reading what she was saying.
But just from the reading here, were you able to appreciate what she's talking about? Or what she's asking of you to do?
I think I understood judicial, where you appoint a judge to investigate.
You wouldn't have if it's a judicial inquiry, I speak under correction perhaps, but I always understood that to be the preserve of the president. Is that what she had in mind, or?
Exactly, because that any judicial inquiry is appointed by the
Yes.
president. I just saw that and understood it in that particular context.
So her request to you that you establish one, yeah, it's doesn't make sense. She doesn't understand how the law works and how the systems work, right? Would it be fair to say so?
It would be fair.
Yeah, okay.
It would be fair.
I think the most important part of that subparagraph is the claims she makes. And she says there's a great deal of information about the grossly irregular conduct of this task team. The investigative mandate of such a body must be wider than the 3 cases. So she specifically says there is a lot of other information regarding the grossly irregular conduct of the PKTT. Do you see where I am? Because this is the PKTT she's talking about here. And for avoidance of doubt that it is the PKTT, her subject line in the letter reads as follows. A call for the immediate disbandment of the SAPS political killings team under the command of General Kumalo and the urgent establishment of a judicial oversight body to investigate task team operations and cases and related matters. So we know this is the task PKTT she's talking about. And she alleges that it is guilty of a great deal of grossly irregular conduct. Did that concern you?
Well, on eyesight, as you read, you do get concerns,
Yes.
but you read and the extent of allegations, wide nature, and the way she writes, just too many things all at the same time. You get the impression that she's all over,
Yes.
and you end up with that kind of a taste in your mind.
Yes. It is quite a long letter, and she covers various topics.
Yes.
And I think I appreciate your challenge, but matters such as what I have read would surely strike you once there are allegations of gross irregularities by an officially established task team of SAPS. Is a matter that really would be of concern. I would expect it to be to you. Would it?
I'm saying, insofar as you read, you come across,
Yes.
it sounds like that.
Yes.
But you go on and read, you finish. You have that kind of a mixed feeling up until possibly you get to an incident that there could be a concrete reference that could be there or referenced. And then you would be able to raise your level. But it's not like you want not to read what she has written. You want to read. She's quite, especially those of us who come from KZN, we recognized her as a person of substance.
Yes.
And sound mind for quite a long time. And very helpful during the dark days of the apartheid era and struggle for liberation era. So from that background, you don't cut off and say, I no longer, but
Yes.
but your extent of attention to detail follows the pattern of writing, if I could describe it as such.
If then I can just test my understanding. So to use your words, she's all over. So you say you start reading as you go on. It's half a book. Are you suggesting that whilst it may have struck you being on the first page, that there are allegations of gross irregular conduct by PKTT members?
Yes.
As you read on, by the time you reach the end of the document, you question yourself seriously about the validity of the claims advanced. Is that?
You do have those questions raised, especially despite the fact that she also wrote to Parliament.
Yes.
And raised more or less similar issues, to the portfolio committee.
Yes.
But you do have that, but you are not saying you don't recognize.
Indeed.
You haven't read anything. You don't leave with that impression that I've read nothing. You say there is something that she's saying, but you leave it at that.
So then, based on that explanation you gave, we shouldn't expect you to have acted on that claim and investigate this grossly irregular conduct. Because as you say, she goes on and on and on until you basically question yourself whether there is substance to her allegations.
Yeah, because unless they refer to specifics.
Yes.
If she says there's more information, there's more information, you can hardly, unless you really are dedicated to check what those things are.
Okay. I'll skip 275. She deals with other issues there under 2 and 3. I'll go to 4. And at 276, she starts with General Kumalo. She says the background of General Kumalo is of relevance. It is rather late in the day for us to engage with the detail of what, in relation to this issue regarding General Kumalo, she states, in 2018, former disgraced SAPS National Commissioner Cele, who himself is implicated in at least 2 serious criminal cases which have been opened, has been appointed Minister of Police, had been appointed Minister of Police. He's believed to have arranged a placement for Kumalo, whom he probably knew from the 1970s in the KZN, in the political killings team. Then she speaks of Kumalo being the head of PKTT, makes quite a couple of many allegations. But the important thing is at the bottom of 276, she concludes that at the end of 2022, Kumalo was appointed by Cele to head SAPS crime intelligence, having no training or experience in that field either. So he currently occupies both positions. Recent media reports refer to serious allegations against him by other CIS general, or by another CIS general, in brackets, who is alleging that attempts to dismiss him are malicious. In matters relating to Kumalo, I have made reports to Parliament from 2021. Are you aware, or did you engage Parliament at any level and in any form about these matters that Ms. De Haas had brought to the attention of Parliament regarding General Kumalo? Did you make inquiries or try to find out?
No.
This is General Kumalo, head of crime intelligence. That's a very senior post. You were not inclined to even inquire?
No,
Okay.
I didn't.
Why not?
I wouldn't say I was not inclined, but I didn't.
Okay. I find it quite odd, because if we go back to your paragraph 73, where you list all these HR issues by various lieutenant generals and major generals, you engage with the issues and you even appoint the deputy minister to resolve the issue. Now, these are lower ranking officials within SAPS, and here you are confronted with allegations against a senior member, no less than the head of crime intelligence, SAPS. And we are told that the Parliament has been made aware of these issues, but you don't engage with those ones. You don't.
Not really. I didn't engage Parliament.
Then at 6, at 277, she's got cases there she refers to, says you will note that in the 3 cases detailed in the annexures, there are other common themes, all linked in one way or another to political interference by former police minister Cele. And based on what she had said above, the political interference would be interference within the SAPS environment. Did you understand it the same?
Yes.
Now, if you have a former minister interfering politically in that environment, was it not incumbent upon you to do something? And if the question is, what do you do? I would say the first would be to engage the president. You didn't think to have a discussion with the president, more so as the 3 of you, the president, yourself, and as I understand, Minister Cele, are from the same political party. So even if you don't do it through the official channels of the executive, that you can do it within the political sphere, within the same political party, that you have concerns that the former minister is interfering in SAPS affairs. You didn't do that.
No, I didn't.
Okay. Now, it goes on in that vein, but seeing as I think your response will be you did not act upon any of our allegations, you didn't make further inquiries. But these claims advanced by her are some of the issues you took into consideration in disbanding the team. That is why you placed them before the commission. Is that a fair conclusion?
Less of particular claims, more of what you see as it is, that she wrote, and I'm saying to the commission, she wrote.
Yes.
And this is what she wrote.
Now, you didn't investigate any of her claims in circumstances where you have the absolute resources to do so. What, Minister, are you asking the commission to do with the contents of that letter and those claims? I dare say the commission has got far less resources than your office would have to investigate these claims. What are you asking the commission to do?
Well, I'm asking the commission to see what I saw,
Okay.
and then the commission will decide.
But you would like the commission, having seen what you saw, to then understand that what you didn't take these issues into consideration in disbanding the task team.
That I didn't take,
That you didn't, or you did take them into consideration. Where do we land?
not in the sense of all these matters that are indicated here, but in the sense of her having raised some issues.
Yes.
I said, one of the people who wrote to me is this one, this is what she wrote. But without necessarily picking up a specific issue and saying whatever I would have said in writing. In writing the directives, I was just focused on the issues that I raised.
Yes. I hear your answer. I'm somewhat struggling to understand it, but the fault is mine. I've had a long day, so I don't lay that at your doorstep. As long as the commissioners understand, that's the most important. Thank you. Thank you.
So can I just understand that last part, Minister, what you've said there? In the context of this conversation that you exchanged, that you've been having with Ms. Silo, are you saying you did take into account the issues raised by Ms. Dihas as contained in the documents that you have placed before us in your decision? Is it part of what you took into account, or you did not?
I didn't, in the sense of issues, picking up this issue that she's raising, that issue, and then say these issues are two or three of the issues, and I'm now accepting them as part of factors. But in the context of her writing about various issues as a violence monitor, I just said, what did Mary say, or what is she saying? She's saying what she's saying here, what she said in the portfolio committee, and I'm making it available to the commission, and nothing beyond.
Okay, so if we listing the factors that you took into account,
Yes.
if we create a table of the factors you took into account, should we exclude the Mary Dihas submissions to you? We should say, no, the minister did not take anything that Mary Dihas said to him in his decision to disband the PKTT. I'm asking the question in that way
Yes.
to try and understand what you did
Yes.
with these submissions from Ms. Dihas.
Exactly that, because I didn't go through them as I sat down to write, to say, I'm picking up this if I remembered at all. I don't recalling what what is contained here. It was merely to say, people who ever said something to me, made allegations of whatever nature, of whatever extent, validity, these are the ones who I read about or I came across. So I would say by and large, the commission will apply their mind. I applied my mind, not to get into detail, not to pick up anything, because as I say, not to go to the president about them, not to go to parliament about them. So the commission will make up their mind.
Yeah, we're not making up our mind, to use your language, in a vacuum. We get the documents, we
Yes.
read them, we make up our minds about them. We're not doing that.
Okay.
We look at your decision. Remember, the terms of reference require us to also look at whether any member of the executive
I see.
abetted, aided, is complicit in the infiltration. Something that I know it's not the exact wording, but you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
There's that term of reference. So when we look at DHAS's documents that you have placed before us and what you say in the statement about her, we look at it for the purpose of determining if it influenced your decision in any way, because that's our only interest, is did Ms. DeHaas have anything to do with the decision of the minister? That's why Commissioner Kumalo asks you, is it a coincidence that your letter looks like hers? It's because we are looking at, you've given us this document from Ms. DeHaas. Do you give them to us because you say, yeah, look at that, those 100 pages, that's part of what I took into account? That's one possibility why you place them before us. Or we say, well, we've listened to the minister. He's told us that Mary DeHaas is completely irrelevant to his decision to disband the PKTT. I'm trying to get that kind of clarity for myself. Is she completely irrelevant?
Specifically, she is not relevant on these matters, but human rights issues are relevant.
Yeah, Minister, let's take it slow. My question, Ms. DeHaas writes to you with a whole lot of demands and telling you what must happen. And then she gives you, either she gives you or you got hold of these documents. And we're interested in the period before you made your decision, not
Yes.
what she went and said in Parliament.
Yes.
We are interested to see what role did she play in your decision making, right? And so I ask the question with that context, or that background. Is she, what she gave to you, her letter to you, and anything else that she has said, whether directly to you or publicly, before the 29th of December, before you made the decision, was any of it relevant in your making the decision to
No.
disband the PKTT?
No.
No. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Minister. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Commissioner. If we can turn then to, we're still staying with SM8, but now we're at page 265. And here I am just highlighting one or two things, because as with the claims of Ms. DeHaas, they relate to criminal and irregular conduct by member of SAPS, except she raises them insofar as they relate to the PKTT, okay? So now we turn to this document at 265. This is an official complaint registration form for the Portfolio Committee on Police in Parliament. You brought it to the commission and I raise it with you, because if you turn to page 267, There is a specific question there that appears in the form, it appears like a pro forma question. Where have you taken your complaint before approaching Parliament? And the response Ms. De Haas fills in is, it was sent to the Minister of Police on the same day as it was sent to Parliament. You see where I'm reading? The second box at page 267. Just above the box is a question, where have you taken your complaint before approaching Parliament? And her response is typed in the box below that. And the first line is, it was sent to the Minister of Police on the same day as it was sent to Parliament. You see that?
Well, yes, I see that middle box.
Yes.
Yes, I'm trying to
So-
read it.
That I say why I am bringing this to your attention is it would appear that these issues that are set out in this document to Parliament, as Ms. De Haas claims, were also brought to your attention.
Yes.
Is she correct in that regard?
To say,
Says it was sent to the Minister of Police on the same day it was sent to Parliament.
probably,
Okay,
although
because,
I don't have both dates. Yeah.
This would look like a retyped version because at the original that is signed by Ms. De Haas starts at page 268. And I think it's dated it's signed by her 4 November 2024. So it would appear that somebody, it's not the most legible, so it appears like somebody rewrote it, or because this version is unsigned, but it is exactly the same. So we assume this is the one that you received probably on or after the 4th of November 2024.
Yes.
Okay. Now, once again, she repeats her call for the disbandment of the irregularly constituted political task team headed by General Kumalo, and calls for an urgent need for an oversight body and audit of task team funding. Now, one of the reasons, I think, or as part of the reasons you advanced for the disbandment of the PKTT was a cost issue you raised in your statement. Am I just in summary?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, this document at page 265 states, under the statement of complaint, there is a box split in two. The upper portion is a smaller box than the bottom one. Do you see that?
Yes, I hope what.
Okay, I want to draw attention to the bigger box now, the second one, where she starts with the words, please see attached letter. Do you see where I'm reading?
Where she says what?
Please see attached letter and 3 annexures for full details.
Minister.
265.
265.
Yes, there's the heading, Minister, statement of complaint. Do you
Official
see that?
complaint.
The statement of complaint. There's a heading like that. Do you see that?
Oh, yes, in the middle.
Roughly halfway.
Yes, I see that.
Then there's the smaller box with 3 lines. You see that?
I see that.
Then
I call
the
for-
next
oh,
one.
I see.
Please see attached.
Please see, yes, I see that.
I'm indebted, Chair, thank you. Says, please see attached letter and 3 annexures for full details. I need to add that since sending an advance copy to the committee secretary and to the Minister of Police on Friday, 1 November, allegations made by other police members about excessive expenditure by members of this team have apparently been confirmed by a report I received over the weekend that the Provincial Commissioner of SAPS, General Mkwanazi, approved funds for accommodation at the luxury Umhlanga Rocks Hotel Oyster Box and upmarket bed and breakfast establishments in the same Umhlanga Rocks area. And that as a consequence, there is insufficient money for petrol for some police vehicles. I'll stop there. Now, this talks to money issues. And the last I checked on Oyster Box, exceptionally irregular use of money, of funds, subs funds, particularly when she says she has a report of this kind of expenditure by General Mkonazi, with the result that there is insufficient money for petrol for some police vehicles. That would definitely affect the proper functioning of the police if this is correct. Would you agree?
Yes, I would agree.
And that would be a matter that would be of some concern to you.
Yes, correct.
Having received this, because this claim is slightly different from the claim set out in the letter of the 10th of October. So it's a further claim. Did you investigate or cause for an investigation to be undertaken?
No.
May I ask why not?
In the same context that you would receive a lot of stuff about a lot of issues quite frequently, such that you deem it enough to read
Okay.
if you come across such, but you don't necessarily, do an investigation. You
Okay.
see it as an allegation made by Mr. Haas, but you don't get it up to that level of investigation.
When we turn to page 266,
260.
266,
Okay.
yes, overleaf,
Yes.
then beyond the midway of the page, there are two boxes. The second box, under the question, what do you want the Portfolio Committee on Police to do? Then she states under 1 and 2, what she was asking of the Portfolio Committee. I would like us to look at item 2 in her response. Because where she starts the second sentence, third line under item 2, that reads, there must be an audit of funds allocated to this team for, quite apart from its gross abuses of suspects and others, the fact that it has achieved virtually nothing in terms of solving well-known politically linked cases in the 6 years it has operated confirms that it is a complete waste of taxpayers' money and raises serious questions about its real agenda being politically driven. Do you see where I'm reading?
Yes, I see.
Two questions here. She speaks of gross abuse of suspects and others by this team. Is that your understanding since
That she-
becoming the minister, that this team is guilty of gross abuse of suspects and others?
I'm aware that she made that.
No, are you aware of the claim that she makes?
Yes.
Okay, now, do you know the PKTT to be involved in gross abuses of suspects and others? You, Minister, personally.
No, I don't have.
When you receive this document, and I will assume that it's a serious matter, if it were ever to be held to be true. Once again, you did not seek to inquire into the correctness of the claim or to even, investigate, at least with General Masemola, about the issue, this particular issue raised. You didn't do that.
No.
Why not?
It's in the same context that
Oh, okay.
I raised before. You read, you keep, but you don't necessarily follow up.
This particular point is relevant because in the course of your testimony yesterday, you referenced the case of Mr. Mchunu, you recall?
Yes.
And you commented that there which happened in 2018, and actually which was the trigger for the president's eventual decision to establish an IMC, you recall that?
Yes.
And you allege that nothing had been done in that case since then. You still stand by that statement?
Not that nothing has been done.
Okay.
What I specifically said is that I'm not aware of anybody who has been convicted.
Oh,
However, I'm aware of 4 people who have been charged for conspiracy to murder,
okay,
and 1 person charged for murder.
okay.
Those are the people that I'm aware of.
And those would be, to your understanding, the hitman, the supervisor, coordinator, stroke middleman, and the ward councillor who was a part of the plot for that murder. Are you aware those were the people who are arrested?
Yes, I know that there were 7 people who
Yes.
were arrested originally. 2 are out, and then 5 are remaining.
Okay.
And they are, as I described them.
And are you aware that after their arrest, the matter was set down for trial for the 26th of March, 2024? And that the accused were initially denied bail, but were subsequently granted bail of 10,000 each by the High Court. Are you aware of those facts?
Yes, how I am aware of is, I'm aware through family, just
Yes.
updating me from a distance. Yeah.
Now, if you're aware of all those facts and you appreciate that they have appeared in court, they have been charged, the matter has been set down for trial. In fact, they appeared for trial at 26 March 2024. Is it appropriate to blame the PKTT regarding the delay in conclusion of the trials and possible convictions?
I'm not blaming them.
Oh, I misunderstood you yesterday.
Yes.
I do apologize.
Okay.
I think just one last issue, and this is an issue you raise at your reason number 3 for your decision to disband the PKTT. And you state, third, sub-budgetary and organizational obligations, including National Treasury instruction, and you list them.
Sorry, Ms. Silo, are you done with you're not going to speak to the Ms. Berger complaint? You're done with that topic, that theme?
You can proceed.
Okay, maybe before you go to the budget then. Minister, earlier we confirmed, or you confirmed, that where you said Parliament in paragraph 71, you meant Mr. Adams.
Yes.
Okay. What was the complaint that Mr. Adams raised with you?
He was complaining about him opening a case, first in the Western Cape and second in Gauteng, and
Yes.
there being no follow-up. And it's a matter we took to the National Commissioner, who responded, and we then conveyed the response as such. I got to understand that there was another complaint to the Chief of Staff, who then took that complaint to IDAC.
Okay. And that complaint, we've heard about it in the commission, but
Yes.
it has also played out publicly. I just want to confirm
Yes.
that it's the complaint against General Kumalo, and I think other people as well, to do with the appointment of somebody to the SAPS.
If I'm not mistaken, yes.
Yes, that's my understanding. So then, that kind of complaint, how could you have taken it into account, or how could it be a factor in your decision to disband as one of the matters that occupied you in your disbandment decision? Because it on the face of it, it has nothing to do with the PKTT.
Well, I do indicate in the first paragraph, as I did, that there are matters that came as complaints, like the ones that are from the people that I listed, which had nothing to do with, so my listing of that doesn't mean that all those categories of people who made complaints necessarily became a factor.
Okay, so Mr. Adams, his complaint to you is completely irrelevant to your decision
It's
to
different,
disband
yes.
the
It is,
PKTT.
it is something else,
Okay,
yeah.
so to the extent that we understood it as part of the concerns that you took into account, we are wrong. We shouldn't. That's not what you were
Not
conveying.
on the, yes.
Okay, and the fourth here, because you do discuss in your statement, just so that after you have left the witness stand, we must not say we didn't hear how you explain this. If you go to your statement, and I think I'm trying to find where it starts. I'm told it's at page 32 of your statement.
Yes, I'm on it.
It starts at paragraph 87. You make mention there of a News 24 article about 2 attorneys who were arrested. And then you say the report says it's by the the NKPTT. Firstly, to note, this was before your appointment as a minister, this arrest.
Yes,
Okay, that was in March
May.
2024,
Yes.
right?
yes.
Now, you refer to the News 24 and you refer to a Daily Maverick report in May 2024, which reported on this. Is this one of the things you took into account?
It's one of the things that I read.
Yeah, you didn't take that into account in your decision. It didn't inform your decision.
Look, it's one of the things I read and I became aware, but I didn't say I'm going to put it as a factor, because I didn't speak to Ms. Bradley. I merely looked at it and said, in the category of some complaints about human rights, there's this that has been flagged, this that has been flagged.
Okay, so we should accept that it's not a factor that you took into account.
Yes.
Okay.
I indicate somewhere as well that there is a claim or an indication that she has applied to come to the commission herself, and therefore I leave it at that.
Okay, all right. Now, I'm just confirming that because it appears under your heading about human rights abuses by the NKPTT, as you refer to it, and I just wanted to be sure that is this one of those cases of abuse
Okay.
that you did not verify, but you took into account, but you say you did not take into account.
Yes.
It didn't inform your decision. Thank you, Ms. Lim.
Thank you, Commissioner Baloyi. I had asked us to go to page 57 of your statement, Minister.
Page?
57. And there I just want to, paragraph 170, you deal with the third reason, and you highlight SAP's budgetary and organizational obligations.
Yes.
And as we've come to learn, General Dimpane is responsible for that side of things for SAPS, correct?
Yes.
Is that your understanding as well? And General Dimpane, I am sure you are well aware, made a statement to the ad hoc committee and
Yes.
appeared before the ad hoc committee. She, however, has not appeared before this commission yet.
Yes.
You have a file, exhibit 1 of 2, Yes, one of two. Annexure CJC 54.5. And that would start at page 163. Yes, yes.
Which bundle, page?
Exhibit file 1. Page 163. No, I don't think we've ever called up this particular file, so it's most likely still to be in your box.
And you said page?
Page 163.
I have the bundle.
Here's the. As you will note, Minister, from that document, it's the statement General Dimpani submitted to the ad hoc committee. She has since formally communicated with this commission to our secretary on the 4th of December 2025 that she submits the same statement to this commission and it should be treated as a statement for the commission. Do you understand?
Yes.
Thank you. Now, on this one, I would like us to start at page 178. We're dealing with the cost issue. And if you're at 178 at her paragraph 15, she speaks of these various deployments, interventions, task teams, and operations, and states that these have been coordinated and managed by SAPS over multiple financial years. You don't quibble with that claim, do you?
I'm aware of that.
Yes. And if you go over leaf, she then sets out a table. She has titled it Table B, and she records expenditures per task team over the period, their respective periods of existence. And you will note that, because now we're having a conversation about funding and budget, at 1.1 billion over a 3-year period, 2023-24, up to 2025-26, and that is up to the 30th of September 2025. Now, my question is, based on what you have testified to thus far, and the budgetary constraints and the concerns you have, would it be fair to assume that you have expressed your concerns regarding the expenditure pattern of that particular task team, or not?
Illicit mining.
Yes, illicit mining, the first on the table, yes.
Yeah, at some point we did discuss expenditure with National Commissioner, but it was in the context when we needed to take part in getting the illegal miners from underground at a particular point in December, January, that we didn't have money to do that.
Yeah, and I note that in the financial year 25-26, and that normally starts on the 1st of April of
Yes.
any year, yes.
1 April.
By the 30th of September, 294 million had been expended towards that task team, contrasting that with the political task team, which stands at 16 million. So I need to understand, if you are able to help me, why you would have such serious cost concerns when it comes to the PKTT, to a point that you order that it must be disestablished, when its expenditure in the first 6 months is 16 million, but a later established task team has already expended 294 million in the same period of 6 months, and that whatever concern you may have on that is not enough for you to act upon it. Why would that be?
Well, contexts are different. In the first place, they indicate that the source of money is Kara, not the actual budget allocated by Treasury to us.
But it's still public funds, if I understand this, or is it private funds?
Kara.
It's from public.
It comes from public.
Yes.
From money that gets collected and so on.
Yes.
Now, but I'm merely making a difference that it comes from Kara, not from the budget. But two, as I did indicate, that we would have loved that 16 million that you're referring to is expenditure associated with murder and robbery.
Yes.
In whatever sub-unit, instead of a standalone team like PKTT. Not necessarily from the point of view that they are wasting it. I haven't done that kind of exercise. But from the point of view of saying, once you have a team, once you mainstream them into murder and robbery, you don't have the responsibility of scrapping from other programs to fund them.
Yes.
Leaving gaps where that money comes from, whether it is whether it's from detectives or it's from operations.
Okay.
You keep the money for what it is designed for in terms of programming. Yes. But here, this is money that comes from Kara. I do see that it's quite a huge expenditure, but I'm saying that's the difference.
Yes.
That's how it arises.
Would you accept that in life, we generally apply the principle of value for money? So however an expensive an item or exercise may be deemed to be from a subjective perspective, affordability or whether or not the expenditure should be incurred is always considered in the context of the value derived from that expenditure. Am I making sense?
Yes, you are.
Are you suggesting therefore that 16 million expended on the PKTT to date did not derive any value and therefore ought to have been diverted to the murder and robbery squad?
Not at all.
Okay.
It is in the context. It is in the context of an exercise that has been done over time called establishment of specialized units. That is streamlining how subs should work.
Yes.
And then among those, you have murder and robbery. But at the same time, you have PKTT. It arises only in that particular context to say you would have this amount budgeted for in terms of the appropriate program and spent accordingly. Specialized unit, murder and robbery, serious and so on. And you don't have any other expenditure outside that. If you have, you are increasing and building capacity internally in a sustainable way rather than spending on an ad hoc committee, in other words, on an ad hoc team, on a temporal team.
Yes.
That is the context in which
Okay.
we differentiate.
But then in that context as well, it would have benefited, I would think, your thinking to engage with General Dimpane, who's head of finance in SAPS, and have engagements with her about these budgetary issues and budgetary constraints, and how, in her view, she would consider would be an appropriate use of SAPS budget. You know, you'd have benefited significantly from such an engagement before you take the decision. Would you agree?
We did engage.
Yes.
She did brief us about finances
Okay.
generally. She did tell us that there's been a reduction in increase in nominal terms, but reduction in real terms.
Yes.
And it did arise when we're talking about priorities of the ministry, that there's no money to do this, there's no money to do that, including building of police stations and so. So it did in various manners,
Yes.
in a variety of meetings. So I know that we have a budget that doesn't meet the
All
obligations
your
of
needs,
SAPS. Yes.
And did that engagement extend to specifically the budget for the PKTT? To your
No.
recollection, it didn't.
No, we didn't
Okay.
deal with the budget for each unit. Remember, there are other units. We didn't
No,
deal with.
I was more interested in the PKTT
Okay.
only. No, you
Okay.
didn't. And you are correct, because General Dimpane, at her paragraph 20 of the statement, page 181, that annexure that is open before you, does confirm that, and she states, I have never spoken to the minister about the PKTT budget. All discussions concerning the allocation of funds to PKTT are solely between me and the National Commissioner. So she would be correct in that regard.
She would be correct, although I would consider the statement quite, the end part of it, quite interesting to say public expenditure in the department is a matter between the two of them. But I'm not debating that. I'm just citing something interesting. There's something that I lost.
Minister,
I wanted to
just
say
a
to.
moment. Just a moment.
Yes.
To be fair to her, that's not what she's saying. All she's saying there is that all discussions concerning the allocation of funds to PKTT are solely between me and the National Commission. She's not suggesting that if you have concerns, you cannot raise them.
Yes. Just lost something. Is the matter of expenditure of PKTT. It comes in the sense that you have an alternative structure that you should be using for the same purpose that PKTT is using. That is what the commission needs to note when we discuss this. On illicit mining, for instance, as an example, you don't have an alternative. You just have to do what you have to do. If there were an alternative, you simply would have done that. That is why at some point, I think this year, we held a meeting called Optimization of the Budget of SAPS. It was an effort, a detailed and effort to encourage SAPS management, CFO in particular, to lead that effort of optimizing the budget. So where you have alternatives, both of them costly, you see whether you shouldn't integrate them so that you get the better out of all of them.
Okay.
But Minister, your task team, or the new task team, taxi violence of 2024, undermines that consideration, because you do have an alternative. You do have a murder and robbery division in the Eastern Cape. They were not effective. What you did not do, you did not put in resources to murder and robbery to enhance their ability to do this. You in fact formed a new team and they took funds that were not budgeted for. So the financial concern you raise about PKTT is equally valid for your Eastern Cape taxi violence task team that you created in December.
Yes, it is for that reason that even though we say task teams can or may be established as and when the need arises, but don't adopt that as the way in which subs need to work, need to do their job. Don't factor it in and allow it like that, because it's wasteful. That in that example, that what is an example of what is not desirable.
But you created a task team anyway, so it's really to test it seems you're not consistent in your reasoning about your budgetary concerns, about the structural implications of having a task team. There is inconsistency in it because the one you disband in December, among the reasons you give to us here is we need to use our resources better, our budget better. And no one can argue with that, against that. That, yeah, every day, even in our personal lives, we need to use our budgets better. No one can argue with that, but it is the inconsistency in your justification for disbanding the PKTT as applies to the PKTT, but the same considerations don't seem to apply to a task team that you form in the same month. And I'm speaking both budgetary concerns that you have raised and the organizational structure, operating outside of the organizational structure. Please make me understand why it is justifiable, those reasons you give in respect of the PKTT when you disband it in December, and the same considerations don't apply, because they don't. Otherwise, you would not have set up that. If you had considered them consistently, you wouldn't have set up that task team, because murder and robbery in the Eastern Cape can do this. And there's a budget for murder and robbery to deal with that kind of stuff. You would have found other ways of enhancing their capability. But no, you created a structure outside of the normal organizational structure. You got money drawn from other sources that should be used for other purposes that were budgeted for. You pull it out for a specific task team. Please make me understand why this inconsistent treatment of task teams that both deal with murder.
It's not inconsistency. It's not. I have endeavored to explain that PKTT is a sitting task team, if I could use that word to qualify, 7 years in office. What alternative do you have? Specialized unit. Which one? Murder and robbery. There isn't an instance in KZN where murder and robbery would have been found to be weak and dysfunctional, where you would then have intervened. That one in the Eastern Cape is an intervention.
No, Minister, you can't say that, because much earlier in our discussion, you admitted that you never received a report about the capabilities of murder and robbery in KZN. So we settled that, or at least I thought we settled that when you made the decision, and because on the basis that murder and robbery should deal with those
Yes,
political cases.
I remember, yes.
Yes, you said I didn't have a report, and Ms. Silo, in fact, referred you to an affidavit of General Motsepe, where she says, well, the capabilities had not yet been established.
We didn't end up like that, Commissioner. I ended up my statement by saying, I rely on the submission I relied at that time when I wrote this directive on the reports, the Marai reports, which had signatures up to Deputy National Commissioner approving implementation, not establishment. Whatever it was based on, it was them who made an assessment and agreed and signed and submitted to National Commissioner. Now, I sit here and I get that I rely on them and I say, it means all is well. These are senior officials. I have nothing to doubt. In the case of Eastern Cape, when this problem erupts, it struck us as a situation requiring intervention in the form of a team led by General Zulu. When she gets there, she then discovers, when she now wants to intervene and empower these people, and she discovers what she discovered that we went through. And then she writes that report to say, this is what, they are not a 7-year sitting intervention. They are not an IMC built or established. They are based on what has just erupted. They are sent there. They say 3 months, they deal with that particular problem. They ask for another 3 months, they deal with that particular problem. I agreed with you, Commissioner, that the principles are the same, but the situation, the actual situation that we're arguing about are not the same, not at all. But in the Eastern Cape, I agree with you. We have the alternative. What's the alternative? It is the specialized unit that would stop even an intervention, short as it would be, even if it's extended. But it's one of those things that you would regard as a weakness in the department that require addressing rather than as a practice that must recur and be accepted as a norm in terms of how subs should function, because it's wasteful. Now, when General Motsipe say that, she is at the same time saying we are not performing well as head of this particular. In other words, I'm not performing well. That's why I still have this and this, and higher up to me, that I now know that quite a number of officers have not been able to establish this as intended long ago as 2019. So there are those differences. On the side of specialized units, we want to build permanency, if there is English like that. We want to build sustainability, and ideally that would function without the need for interventions of whatever nature.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Silla?
Thank you, Commissioner. And staying with General Dimpane's statement, please turn to page 182. And I'm just going to read part of paragraph 25, and then I'm going to invite you to comment. And at 25, General Dimpane states as follows: I've heard it stated that as the CFO, I also advocated for the disbandment or deactivation of the team before the minister made his decision to disband the team. Do you see where I'm reading, Minister?
I see that.
Overleaf then. However, these comments have been taken out of context. I drew attention to the fact that the team had been in existence for 5 years And given the ongoing need, as well as to ensure proper planning, budgeting, accountability, and proper resource allocation, it might be necessary to prepare a work study to establish a permanent structure. I stated that as the component head, OD must be, and it's a quotation there, open quotes, tasked to urgently conduct a work study investigation for the establishment of a permanent structure in KZN, close quote. Rather than advocating the disbandment of PKTT, I advocated that a study be conducted to determine whether it should be made a permanent structure, and I'll stop there. Now, this is General Dimpane who penned in that note, in the information note, explaining what her words, what she meant with her comments, and pointing out that you took her words out of context, as if she was advocating for the establishment of the task team. So do you agree? What's your comment to what she stated in her affidavit?
It's not stated what exactly I said. It's just a commentary that Minister made his decision to disband the team. I also advocated for the disbandment. I don't know whether she's taking me verbatim on this matter, I doubt. But to the effect that she wrote like this, let's suppose that it is correct what she says on page 183. We agree with her. How she interprets that and so on, for whatever purpose, she was making a sound statement about expenditure, and I would say it was in broad reference to that, not to say particularly, specifically. She wrote somewhere that PKTT must be disbanded. She was talking from a particular perspective. I agree with her. It's not a big issue.
So perhaps then just to clarify, the position is, because I think that comment you made before the ad hoc committee,
Yes.
and with reference to notes General Dimpane had made regarding the budgeting for PKTT in the period, I think it was up to March 2024.
Yes.
And so you accept that whatever she wrote in the comments there cannot be construed as support for the disbandment of the PKTT, whatever wording she used. That's not how you understood it, and that's not how you think a reader should understand her words. Is that your position?
Let me first say that I don't have what I have. She doesn't refer to what I said exactly.
No,
Let me pass that.
Apologies, Minister. I was asking a different question. You did make that point. My next question now is whether your position is that you did not understand any of her notes on that document to suggest that she supports the disbandment of the PKTT. That's all.
No, I wouldn't say she supports, because I suppose that she was never requested to support or not to support. What she was given was to consider the budget or consider the request as was put. And then she made certain comments.
Yes.
Whatever comments she made, then I make reference to those comments that she made. Not necessarily to say she supports or she doesn't support. Just taking those comments as they were.
Yes.
To say these are the comments that and I consider them to be sound. those comments, but not from a endorsement of, as an endorsement
Yes.
of, because we didn't, we were not talking about her and what she would have written or not written. We were talking about the state of finances
Yes.
and what has come in the environment. That was the reference.
Commissioner Kumalo would like to.
Minister, when did you first learn of Lieutenant General Dimpane's comment?
General Timpane's comments were quite early. They came in 2024. I think it was at the, in about March. Later in the year, I became aware of this.
So this document, you became aware of it before you made your decision on 31 December 2020?
Yes, it was before the 31st.
Thank you for that response, Minister. Commissioner Baloyi?
Are you leaving this
Yes, I am.
topic? All right. Maybe one last thing to do with the budget concerns. You, in your paragraph 31, and you spoke to this yesterday, you say no further extensions were sought. This is extension for the PKTT's mandate. As a result, the PKTT continued operating without the required assessment and renewal for more than 2 years. And then you say, I'm advised that this rendered the expenditure on the PKTT irregular under the PFMA. You see where I'm reading, Minister?
Yes.
And then you repeat it slightly differently in paragraph 170. And this time you repeat it as one of your reasons. You say temporary, you see 170?
Yes.
Okay. You say third, SAP's budgetary and organizational obligations, including those treasury instructions and guidelines, require that operational functions be located within approved, properly formed, funded cost centers. Temporary teams outside the approved structure cannot be sustained, and their continuation exposes SAPs to irregular expenditure. The PKTT had not been formally extended since July 2022, rendered continued expenditure irregular under the PFMA. You say that. You started off
Yes.
saying you were advised.
Yes.
Now, General Dimpane says you've never discussed, or she's never discussed with you, the expenditure of the PKTT,
Yes.
the budget. She says that.
Yes.
Who would have advised you
I
that
was-
expenditure of the PKTT is irregular under the PFMA?
I was advised by my lawyers. I did indicate that yesterday.
Okay.
I simply put a situation as I understood it, and the discussion.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want to be careful not to get into any conversations that you have had with your
Okay.
lawyers.
Okay.
You mean your present lawyers?
Yes.
But you see, you cite it as a reason for disbanding. So this is something you must have had by the 29th. That you've had conversations with your present lawyers, I shouldn't get into it. I'm not allowed to get into
It's
it.
fine.
I'm discussing it as a third reason for your decision because it appears under the heading reasons for my directive, and you say third, it's the expenditure is irregular. So my question, hence my question to you, that as at the 29th of December, who would have told you this if the CFO tells Parliament that she's not discussed matters of the PKTT budget with you? Who else in SAPS, as of the 29th of December, told you it's irregular expenditure?
No, before the 29th, I wasn't focused on irregular or regular from the point of view of SAPS or of PKTT. But I was aware that by the 29th, by the 29th, 30th, and 31st, that for quite a number of years, SAPS incurs irregular expenditure, whether it comes from PKTT expenditure or from any. But what I was aware of, I was aware that before I wrote that PKTT is a temporal team. It derives its budget, I was aware of that, from national. Now, where national? From various programs. And I was aware that Treasury is discouraging that and encouraging us to discourage it in our departments to do that kind of allocation because it constitutes irregular, in some cases unauthorized. I was aware of that. But whether it is to the extent that I wrote it here, I wrote it when I joined that sentence. That no, it's when we're talking that this is the reason.
Okay.
This is the additional thing that I could add, but I was aware of irregularity.
So you didn't find out for the first time with your new law, with your current legal representatives. It wasn't the first time you realized this expenditure is irregular.
No.
It wasn't.
No.
Okay. Then why do you say in your statement, I am advised, and I want to complete it with from what you're saying now, I'm advised by my lawyers that the expenditure is irregular, if in fact you knew that on the 29th of December?
Well, I could have coined it differently.
No, Minister, it's not coining. No. No, Minister, let me, maybe I'm being unfair to you. I'll put to you what I want to suggest, that you either knew already at that time already, and so you didn't need your lawyers your current legal representatives to tell you that. And I don't know why you would add it in the statement, or alternatively, it had nothing, the decision, you had no knowledge, it wasn't a factor, the regularity or irregularity of that expenditure. It wasn't a factor at 29 December. It's something that you constructed after you've sent out the letter to say, oh, by the way, one of the problems, now I know on the 1st or 2nd, 3rd of January, actually one of the problems is that, or one of the justifications is that it is an irregular expenditure, so that on this alternative, which is my proposal of what I think is happening here, is that it's a later fabrication. After you've made the decision, you then decided to tag this on as another reason why you disbanded the PKTT. Do you want to comment on that?
Yes, there's no way I was not aware, because we had discussions even at Cabinet up to a level where we were instructed, if I could use that word, that we should optimize our budgets. We should avoid irregular expenditures. We should spend money, encourage our officials to spend money for what they are allocated for. And long before, I think I even knew that there would be allocations that would be made. We held a meeting to optimize. So I was quite aware earlier. That's why I'm saying that doesn't affect the fact that I was fully aware.
Is there, maybe finally, is there anywhere before the 29th of December that you saw General Dimpani express concern that this expenditure of the PKTT is irregular? Is there any way that you see where she recorded that?
I have never seen anything from her.
We haven't, yes, we haven't
but
either.
What I've seen is just irregular expenditure in SAPS recurring over years, but not to say from PKTT.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Minister.
Let me just follow up on that.
Let us adjourn and resume at 17:15.
Fam, again, not a very good day for Julius Mkhwanazi, Deputy Chief of the Ekurhuleni Metropolitan Police Department. Have a look at how he was slammed at the Madlanga Commission.
Facilitation
We
is
don't need
saving.
to fight about this.
Facilitation is saving prison. Commissioners, you are there, me. I can't agree to leave my kids and go to jail for something that I didn't do. I didn't put blue lights. I must say, I can't.
Nobody.
I may want to be honest and impress you, but not with lies.
Nobody has said anything about jail, Commissioner.
This is a commission of inquiry. You will be making recommendation. I will be sitting somewhere, and I won't see you that. I will see you after 10 years or 50 years.
And Commissioner, to be fair to you, I don't think anybody is suggesting that you physically got the blue lights and fitted them on Mr. Matlala's vehicles. I don't think anybody is suggesting that.
Commissioners, on your side, yes, but that side, it's different. Even yesterday, you assisted me when I was lost, agreeing about that letter that you submitted, a letter to Chief of Police. I was saying it's English, I was lost. Up until you said, no, man, this is 20. I said, oh, but you said you didn't remember. I said, in fact, there you were so fair to me because I was lost, and you were able to assist me. And at night, when I visited you, I said, but they are fair. They assisted me where I was lost. Thank you for that.
I didn't mean to interrupt because we don't have enough time. But because of the debate about facilitation, I thought it's only fair that I take you to the documents so that you can understand what the allegation is.
Oh, yes.
And now that I've done that and we've agreed that this is what you did, I can give the time back to advocates.
Yeah, so it's never a good thing at a commission of inquiry when you start debating with the commissioners whether you're going to jail or not. And that's exactly the position Julius Mkhwanazi found himself in. Remember, he's been suspended now because of some of these allegations. Yesterday, he had a prolonged testimony, which I analyzed, so go back and check that out. But today, he continued to try and explain away this blue light saga, and his story was, remember, Kat Matlala miraculously found himself with blue lights on his vehicles. There were social media videos of his partner driving around with these blue lights to, I think, pick her kids up from school. And of course, this became a major scandal. Now, Julius Mkhwanazi is alleged to have been the person who made that possible for Kat Matlala. So he tried to explain it today by saying, look, I wasn't the person who physically put the blue lights on the cars. But that's not really what anyone has been alleging. No one said that Julius Mkhwanazi took out his screwdriver and put the blue lights on the cars himself. The whole allegation was that he was the figure who made it possible by authorizing the blue lights, and he was forced to admit that that was the case. He spoke to a certain Mr. Stain within the Ekurhuleni Metropolitan Police Department to register these cars under the police department. And of course, once they were registered under the police department, they could then be fitted with these blue lights, which gave rise to the situation where private company was using public and benefiting from public power, something that should be exclusively in the public domain. So it became very clear today that Mkhwanazi's story on the blue lights just didn't add up. But it became a little bit more worrying and pernicious. In other words, verging on evil. Because we heard about money that was exchanged between Kat Matlala and Julius Mkhwanazi. And quite frankly, this is kind of where things move from the realm of suspicion to the realm of what the heck was going on. Because Advocate Silo SC asked a question, a devastating question, and she had the receipts to back up her question. She said, Mr. Mkhwanazi, Brigadier Mkhwanazi, have you ever received money from Kat Matlala? And Mkhwanazi said, yeah, look, we became very close, which is also concerning exactly as to how that happened, given the allegations Matlala's facing. But yeah, he gave me money and I gave him money and it was fine. And then Advocate Silo was like, oh, okay. what if I told you, hey, when a lawyer says, what if I told you, head for the hills. What if I told you that I've got bank records which show that 20,000 was paid from one of Matlala's companies, and then 30,000, and then another 20,000. And then suddenly Mkhwanazi had to admit that, yes, I have received this money from Kat Matlala's companies. What was a police chief doing getting money from a private company in the first place? The police has to be sacrosanct. We can't have police officers and police chiefs, for that matter, just getting money from random companies. What if those companies are involved in criminality, which has ended up actually being the case here? Then you have a clear, serious conflict of interest. Hey guys, Julius Mkhwanazi made it sound like first, we were just splitting the bill at Spur. And then all of a sudden it turns out, no, Kat Matlala bought ribs for everyone in the restaurant. Now Spur must actually sponsor as well. No, man. Like, he downplayed this. Like, I love how the witnesses at these commissions downplay things, trying to use language. Like, a tsunami happens, and then he's like, yeah, there was just a little bit of water here. Hey, he got paid tens of thousands by Kat Matlala's companies. Kat Matlala had Julius Mkhwanazi on payroll, fam. That's what emerged at the commission today, and Mkhwanazi was unable to dispute those claims. So yeah, it went from we just help each other to Netflix crime documentary very quickly. So now, Julius Mkhwanazi's testimony has ended, and really, the Ekurhuleni side of the story presents a sordid tale of how at least one section or one faction of an entire metropolitan police department was in the pocket of Kat Matlala. Of course, today what also happened was Minister Mchunu took the stand. And for me, the end of today and Mchunu's testimony in general might be one of the most important turning points of this commission, and indeed in South African politics. Because, of course, before you actually give your testimony, there's always a certain amount of doubt. Maybe you have some good explanation as to why you took the decisions you took. But today, I would urge you to go back on the SMWX stream and watch the parts where Senzo Mchunu faces a barrage of questions from Justice Madlanga. We've got two of the main characters in this whole saga. Madlanga, who leads this commission, and Senzo Mchunu, the minister who started all of this with his disbandment letter of the 31st of December, entering into quite a robust dialogue for a long time, around an hour. And really what Minister Mchunu did today was a couple of things. First, he tried to explain that he had the legal power to take the decision that he took. He said, well, after South Africa became a constitutional democracy, it was important for the police to be placed under the control of politicians who are democratically elected, not just the police commissioner who is appointed. The police commissioner is appointed by the democratically elected politicians anyway, but he tried to paint this picture of how he had the power to disband the Political Killings Task Team. And after painting the picture that he had the legal power to do what he did on the 31st of December last year, he then laid out a host of reasons as to why he took that decision. He said, well, there was a lack of focus because the Political Killings Task Team was doing the same thing as the Murder and Robbery Unit, and we should have just integrated the Political Killings Task Team, which was focused on one geographical area, into the whole country. And he said the Political Killings Task Team this is the Task Team General Mkhwanazi was really largely responsible for, in addition to General Khumalo. He said, no, it cost a lot of money, so we also needed to divert resources because the budget